The night I followed my husband, I expected to find another woman. Instead, I found the part of his life he had been hiding from me for months. And somehow, that hurt in a completely different way. My name is Claire, and I had been married to Daniel for 6 years. For most of our marriage, we were boring in the best way. We had routines: coffee at the same kitchen counter every morning, grocery shopping on Sundays, one shared blanket on the couch, even though we had three. We argued sometimes, but never in a way that scared me. Daniel was quiet, but steady. He was the kind of man who texted me when he got to work, the kind who remembered I hated mushrooms on pizza, the kind who came home tired but still asked about my day before taking off his shoes. So when he started coming home late, I noticed. At first, it was small: 30 minutes, then an hour, then 2. He always had a reason. Work ran long. A client called late. Traffic was awful. His phone had died. At first, I accepted it because marriage teaches you not to panic over every small change. But then the small changes became a pattern. He stopped eating dinner with me. He started showering the second he got home. He kept his phone face down. And whenever I asked what was going on, he gave me the same tired smile and said, "It's just work." But it didn't feel like work. It felt like distance. And the worst part was not knowing whether I was being paranoid or whether my marriage was quietly falling apart in front of me. One Friday night, he came home close to midnight. His shirt smelled like perfume. Not strong, not obvious, just enough for my stomach to drop. I was sitting on the couch with a plate of cold pasta in front of me. He walked in, saw me awake, and froze for half a second. That half second told me more than his words did. I asked him where he had been. He rubbed his face and said there had been a late meeting. I asked who was there. He said a few people from the office. I asked why he smelled different. He looked away. That was the first time I saw guilt on his face. Not tiredness, not stress. Guilt. I went to bed before he could say anything else. But I didn't sleep. I lay there next to him, staring at the ceiling, listening to his breathing, wondering how long he had been lying to me. The next week, I started paying attention to everything. The way he stepped outside to take calls, the way he turned his screen away when I walked near him, the way he suddenly cared about which jacket he wore. Then one night, I saw a message pop up on his phone while he was in the shower. It was from someone named M. Just one line. "Same time tomorrow?" My hands went cold. I didn't open the phone. I didn't need to. My mind had already created the whole story. Another woman. Secret meetings. Late nights. Perfume. Lies. When he came out of the bathroom, I asked him who M was. He stared at me. Not angry, not confused, scared. Then he said, "No one you need to worry about." That sentence broke something in me, because no innocent answer sounds like that. I told him I was tired of being treated like a stranger in my own marriage. He said he couldn't talk about it yet. Yet. That word stayed in my head for days. I wanted to scream. I wanted to check his phone. I wanted to call his office. But a part of me was scared of what I would find. Then came the night everything changed. Daniel told me he had to work late again. This time, I didn't argue. I just nodded. He kissed my forehead like everything was normal, grabbed his keys, and left. 10 minutes later, I got in my car and followed him. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my keys. I felt pathetic. I felt angry. I felt like I was becoming someone I didn't recognize, but I needed to know. Daniel didn't drive toward his office. He drove across town, past restaurants, past bars, past the part of the city where people usually go when they are hiding something. Then he turned into a hospital parking lot. For a moment, I just sat there. A hospital. That didn't make sense. I watched him park near the side entrance. He got out carrying a small paper bag. Then he looked around like he was afraid someone might see him. That was when my anger turned into fear. I waited until he went inside, then followed from a distance. The hallway smelled like cleaner and coffee. He walked to the elevator and went up to the 4th floor. I waited for the next one. When the doors opened, I stepped out and saw him at the end of the hallway. He was standing outside a room. A woman came out. She was younger than him, maybe late 20s, tired face, messy hair. She hugged him, not quickly, not casually. She held on to him like she had been waiting for him all day. I couldn't breathe. There it was. The woman. The hug. The secret. I wanted to turn around and leave before my heart completely gave out. But then the woman pulled away and said something I couldn't hear. Daniel's shoulders dropped. Then he walked into the room. I moved closer. I know I shouldn't have. But I did. And that was when I saw the hospital bed. There was a child lying in it. A little boy. Small. Pale. With tubes taped to his hand. Daniel sat beside him and took a toy car out of the paper bag. The boy smiled. And then he said, "Uncle Dan, you came back." Uncle Dan, not Dad. Not anything I had expected. I stood there in the hallway, completely frozen. The woman noticed me first. Her face changed immediately. Daniel followed her eyes and turned around. When he saw me, all the color left his face. He came out of the room and closed the door behind him. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then I asked, "Who are they?" His eyes filled with something I had not seen in months. Exhaustion, shame, pain. He said the woman's name was Maya. She was his younger sister, a sister he had never told me about. I laughed once because it sounded ridiculous. Daniel didn't have a sister, at least not in the version of his life he had given me. Then he told me everything. His family had fallen apart when he was 19. His mother remarried. His father cut contact with everyone. Maya was his half-sister from that second marriage. Daniel had helped raise her for a few years, but after a brutal fight with his stepfather, he left home and never went back. He told me the history was messy, ugly, full of things he had spent years trying to bury. When we met, he had already erased that part of his life from every conversation. Then 3 months ago, Maya found him. Her son, Leo, was sick. She had no one else. No money, no support, no safe way to handle it alone. Daniel started helping with hospital bills, then appointments, then late-night emergencies. At first, he planned to tell me. Then he got scared. Not because of Maya, because he had lied by omission for 6 years. He didn't know how to sit across from me and say he had an entire piece of family history I knew nothing about. So he kept delaying it. And the longer he delayed it, the harder it became. I asked him why he smelled like perfume that night. He said Maya had cried on him after Leo's test results came back worse than expected. I asked why he hid his phone. He said because he was getting messages from hospital staff, billing offices, and Maya at all hours. I asked why he let me think the worst. That was the question that destroyed him. He didn't answer right away. He just looked through the small window into Leo's room. Then he said, "Because I was a coward." I wanted to hate him. A part of me did. Not because he helped his sister, not because he cared about a sick child, but because he let me sit alone night after night, imagining my marriage ending. He let me question myself. He let me feel unwanted. He let fear fill the space where his words should have been. That kind of damage doesn't disappear just because the secret is not an affair. We sat in the hospital cafeteria until almost 2 in the morning. He told me about his childhood, the parts he had skipped, the names he never said, the years he carried like bruises under clean clothes. I listened. I cried quietly. Not only for him, for me too. Because I realized I had been married to a man who loved me, but still didn't know how to let me fully know him. When we went home, everything felt different. The house was the same. The couch was the same. The cold coffee mug from that morning was still beside the sink, but our marriage felt cracked open. For the next few weeks, Daniel kept helping Maya and Leo. But this time, I knew. Sometimes I went with him. Sometimes I stayed home. I met Leo properly on a Saturday afternoon. He asked if I was Uncle Dan's wife. I said yes. He handed me a sticker from his hospital sheet and told me I could keep it because I looked sad. I cried in the bathroom after that. Maya apologized to me too. She said Daniel told her he had explained everything at home. He had not. She looked embarrassed when she found out. But I didn't blame her. This was Daniel's secret to tell. And he had chosen silence until silence nearly ruined us. We started counseling a month later, not because everything was fixed, because it wasn't. Some nights I still got angry. Some nights he still shut down. Some nights I asked a question and hated that I had to ask it. But slowly he started telling me things before they turned into walls. He gave me access to the parts of his life he had kept locked away. And I had to decide whether I could rebuild with someone who had hurt me without cheating on me. That was harder than I expected. Because betrayal is not always another person in a bed. Sometimes betrayal is being left outside a door you never knew existed. We are still together. But not in the same careless way we were before. Now there are rules. No hidden emergencies. No secret payments. No disappearing behind work. No deciding alone what I can or cannot handle. Daniel still visits Leo. Leo is doing better now. Not perfect, but better. Maya has become part of our lives in a way I never expected. Some weekends she comes over for dinner. Sometimes Daniel gets quiet afterward, like he is grieving the years he missed. I let him feel that. But I also remind him that pain does not give someone permission to hide the present from the person sleeping beside them. The night I followed my husband, I thought I was going to find the end of my marriage. Instead, I found the secret that forced us to rebuild it from the broken place where honesty should have started.